Evening, everyone. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble phone-in. My name's Brian. I'm the host tonight. Unfortunately, the boss man, Martin, is not well, so I am stepping into the breach for him. I am joined tonight by Lewis. How are we?
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. Happy to be here.
Good stuff. And we've got a new guest. Hamish is here. How you doing? Ian, you all right?
I'm all right, mate. Just fresh off sacking York this morning and back down the road. No, I'm all right. All right. I'm just joining in, considering the last time I was on, that was pretty much all the comments were about that I look like him. So I thought, why not join in and add it to the pod? Have a laugh with it.
Yes, so of course, Martin's not very well. We have got Robert on the phones, so get your calls in when the klaxon rings. When Robert gives me the thumbs up that the phone lines are open, I shall let you know. So, yes, Lewis, 2-0 yesterday against Livingston. I would say it was a fairly routine sort of win, although wasn't very exciting, was it?
No, not exciting is definitely not the adjective that a lot of Rangers fans would be using to describe this game. But, it is an old adage, but Livingston's a hard place to go. He's a very, very experienced manager, 11 men behind the ball at all times, terrible surface. I think a 2-0 win that we looked pretty much untouchable in terms of any offensive danger from the opposition is a good away 3 points at Livingston for me. I think it's a brilliant win in terms of, when you take everything into account of where the win is. So for me, very happy to.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Robert has given me the thumbs up that the phone lines are open, so get your calls in. This is your night to ask questions, get your points across on all things Rangers. So it's 0141 628 7237. Get your calls in, and Robert will get you on the show. Hamish, I was going to say Hamish there. Ian. As Lewis said, it wasn't a great game, but I think the main thing was to get the 3 points, no injuries, and that was pretty much the sort of the order of the day, wasn't it?
Yeah, I never expected it to be a hugely fast-paced game coming off the back of a tough night on Thursday night. A lot of energy expelled. And like Lewis said, it's never an easy place to go, particularly on that pitch. Not that the pitch is an excuse if we get beat. It's just, it is what it is, and we got to learn to live with it for the time being. For how much longer, we'll can only find out at the end of the season. Maybe one down, one to go. Who knows?
Yeah, Lewis, that was just a bit of news coming in today that Kilmarnock are planning to get rid of their plastic pitch by, I think it's the season 25-26. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come, that the top flight are going to be rid of plastic pitches, because let's be honest, I don't think anybody's a fan of them, are they?
No, definitely. You're a top league, and Scotland are one of the top 5 leagues in Europe, but I don't know if we maybe just about breach top 10, even if we're just outside of that. It's certainly not acceptable to be having, AstroTurf pitches in our top division. Thank God Hamilton are diminished now. Kilmarnock are putting plans into place, and then it would just leave Livingston. So hopefully they get their arse in gear as well. But they're only the richest club, so I don't have much optimism. I've shown my age a wee bit here, but I was listening to Barry Ferguson on a podcast, and he was talking about the fact that Rugby Park actually used to be grass. I think that was probably just a wee bit before my time, and it was one of the better stadiums for him personally to go and play at. So, I definitely think for the betterment of our league, it definitely needs to be grass all round.
Yes, Ian, it's always been a contentious issue ever since the plastic pitches have come in. I honestly thought it was just going to be one, and then it would be a trial and it'd be gone. I'm actually surprised if the plastic pitches have lasted as long as they have, because I'm not even sure some of even the home teams like Kilmarnock and Livingston fans like them.
No, I mean, even Livingston's used to be a grass pitch at one point. I remember when the first time they were up and around in the Premier League, it was a grass pitch, and a decent grass pitch at that, as was Killy's. As someone's put in the comments, when we won the league in 7 minutes at Rugby Park, the 5-1 game, it was grass then. So it's not that long ago that they changed it. Kenny Miller said it in commentary during the game. He said that the Rangers 4G pitch that they practice on is better than what Livy have got in place. So if our training stuff's better than what's to be played on in a top flight match, it should be binned. But one of those sort of things that if you have got an AstroTurf pitch and you're going through the lower leagues, which, you know, I kind of understand it down there. But when you get promoted, like he used to do with the stands and that, if you're not ready for the Premier League, you just don't come up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Aldo, I mean, I'm not sure, Lewis, if you remember the old red ash pitches. It was basically just gravel, and if you fell over, your knees were scudded for months. It was horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Made a player out of you, though.
So, well, yes, that's very true. Very true. But so, yes, get the calls in 0141 628 7237. Ask anything you want, anything to do with Rangers, and we shall try and oblige you. Lewis, the Rangers accounts came out today. I'm not very money sort of savvy, could you say? I'm not really one for understanding accounts. It seems to be a bit of a meh sort of accounts, a bit of negative, sometimes a little bit of good in there as well. But I think a lot of it is to do with obviously the Champions League money, and then the season before was the Europa League run. So I think it's been distorted slightly by those sort of events, hasn't it?
Look, listen, I absolutely echo the same as yourself. I am certainly not intelligent enough to speak in depth about this, but as far as I'm aware, in a general sense, we've only made a very small net profit. And you think that if we didn't have that unbelievable Europa League run, then we might be looking at a fairly sizable net negative. So, you know, it's a bit worrying. I seen Big Graham in the chat. You know, he's maybe even more football manager after myself. He's saying we need to buy like 17 to 20-year-olds, and I agree. I don't know if I would go that young, because, you know, 17-year-olds that are ready for first team football are £100 million now. So it's not as easy as that. But I think Rangers, they need to start looking in the younger market. Even as recently as somebody like Cyril Dessers, you know, we're looking in a bit of a pickle with him if he really doesn't turn out to be a fan favourite at the end of the season, because he's 29, 28 maybe. There's not a lot of sell-on value there. So I think it's good because this is a position that we're in, but I think financially we do need to start preparing better as a football club.
Yes, 100%. And Ian, I think the player trading model was echoed quite a lot. Oh, hold on, we've got a call. We've got Jim and Kirkentillach. Jim, how are we?
I'm fine. Yourself, how are you doing? All right?
Not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. So, Jack has found the confidence.
Well, I'm going, yeah, it's a couple of things I want to mention. First of all, a bit of praise for Rangers in general is the fact I think it's the first time I've ever watched a game at Livy where I knew we were going to win the game, if that makes sense. Felt very confident from start to finish. Thought it was a decent performance. That's my first point. And my next points are Ryan Jack's playing time. I think, you know, it's been said in the past he needs to be managed. I don't know, you guys will probably know better than me how many minutes has the man actually played. I think it proves, and one of them obviously on arguably the worst astro pitch in Britain. He's played a lot of minutes, so I don't know, you know, with the previous manager saying we need to manage him. Well, I think the new manager, Mr. Clement, is actually managing him the way he should be managed, going out and play for Glasgow Rangers. And my other point about Connor Golson is, and myself included in this one, the criticisms he's received recently since the previous manager was there as well. I think Big Golson's been playing out his skin. I mean, I'll put myself up there to be shot down with that, but I think he's been playing absolutely excellent. I think he actually, believe it or not, looks as if he's more athletic. You know, he's got in the box, he scored a goal yesterday, albeit it was chalked off, but he was still there to put it away. And I think Big Golson deserves a bit of credit. As does Balogun, but actually Golson, I was wanting to ask your guys, your opinion about, because I definitely think he deserves a bit of praise, and I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, Ian, we'll come to you first with Golson. He certainly is looking more commanding like he used to under previous managers, namely Gerrard. he's certainly got a bit more life, a bit more energy about him, hasn't he?
Definitely does. I'm wondering if it's the Clement effect on this one, though, whereas Michael Beale, did he have full control over that dressing room? Were the players afraid of him enough? Maybe afraid's not the right word, but did they respect him enough maybe to actually play for him? Whereas Clement, I mean, I don't know about you guys so far. I think if he gave me that stare, I think I would just collapse on the floor in a heap and not want to go back to work. So maybe they've realised that they've now got a boss who is not going to take any crap. He runs the team. They don't run the team. And if he wants to stay in the team, he best well start performing. And I think that's what you're seeing. And he's correct. He's played well. I've enjoyed it. A couple of little moments, but you're not going to get rid of everything straight away. But yeah, he has looked a lot more assured and a lot more solid recently. And maybe Big Balogun is part of that reason.
Yeah, and Lewis, Jim makes another good point about Jack. I mean, we've always been told that we've got Jack's minutes have got to be managed because of his, his fitness and his injuries. He's just played just over 2.5 games in a week. So does that sort of dispel those, problems that he's maybe had in the past?
I don't think so.
No.
Unfortunately, I disagree with Jim a wee bit. I actually think Ryan Jack hasn't been playing particularly well. The last 2 games, at least, I think he was quite good at Dundee. But I think that's maybe a case of where and who he's been played with. I don't think Rangers can go into next season with Jack and Lundstrom. I think they're way too similar. And whilst Clement is getting a trick out of both of them playing in there together just now, I don't think it's a good long-term option. We've seen what that does, that they're very, very defensively minded midfielders. And with Jack, it's just that it's one AstroTurf pitch away from being injured. And I know he's just played at an AstroTurf pitch and got through it, but at 31 years of age, you can't guarantee that he's not going to get injured again. It's very unlikely that he's going to stay injury-free for the rest of his time at Rangers. And if I was to pick between the both of them, I would probably pick Jack, but it would be a year's contract maximum, nothing more. I think Rangers really need to start being ruthless with some of the older guys. So for me, I would keep Jack. I think he's Scottish as well. I think another thing that Ryan should maybe think about his international career. He's not really been getting game time recently, so maybe it's time he hangs up the boots and starts focusing on his club career, and that could give Clement maybe a reason to keep him on it at Rangers.
You in agreement there, Jim?
Yeah, totally agreeing. But my point was, it was talking about Ryan Jack, was actually about the new manager. Was the fact that if you actually see like Kemar Roof is there, albeit he's not going to use. But what I'm saying is, my point really was that the manager is saying, I wouldn't give Ryan Jack another contract as much as I liked him as a player, but I totally agree with Lucy saying. I totally agree with him. But what I'm saying is the new manager saying, no, you're getting paid, you're in the squad, you're playing. Whereas there seems to be less of these kind of, I don't like to call them excuses, but if you listen to Beale's, I mean, it used to be when you listen to Beale's press conferences, it was like, it was awful, to be quite honest with you. It was all these things, but no, you're getting paid. You put that blue jersey on, whether you're a substitute or whether you're playing in the middle of the park, you're playing. That was my kind of point I was trying to make with that one. Do you know what I mean? And I think he's actually doing it as well with guys like Cantwell as well, to say like, so, and I thought, for what it's worth, I thought when Cantwell showed that bit of pendulous at the side of the path, it was ridiculous, where he could have, in this day and age, where he could have potentially got a red card, and I know it's nonsense, it was never near a red card, but I think the manager's no suffering fools lightly. That was my kind of point with Ryan Jack. Can you walk? You're playing, if that makes sense what I'm saying. I think that was my point about Ryan Jack. And I just thought, again, that Big Golson looked like a leader again. If that, he looked as if he was enjoying his game. That's what football should be about. He looked as if he was actually enjoying his game again. And I thought it stood out like a sore thumb yesterday. And as I said to Robert in my intro, it was the first day I sat down, pulled myself a beer, and I knew Glasgow Rangers were going to win yesterday at Livingston. And I think it is all down to the new management. I'm going to say the management team, because as a management team, there's guys there that side of the park are doing a great job as well. And I think now as well we're bringing on substitutes that are, could win us the game basically. And I'm quite happy being tonight. That's what I'm saying. But that was my point about Jack. It was the fact that he's now getting told you're fit for work. Same as me, if I'm fit for work, if I go to work with a hangover, you still go to your work. You go and miss on that. That was my point about Ryan Jack, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, guys, great show, and thanks for everything. Thanks for having me. So I'll let you go on with the rest of your night.
Cheers, Jim.
Good call as always, Jim. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Yeah, I mean, do you feel there's been a bit of, I wouldn't say hypochondriacism at the club, Lewis, but there's been a bit of guys not going through the pain barrier just for the sake of it, or, you know, as Jim said, there's maybe been excuses for injuries and, you know.
I think, you know, what for me, what that boils down to is the mentality of the previous two managers before Clement. Yeah. You know, two very soft, let's say, minded managers, and Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. You know, they can be the tactical geniuses that they're portrayed as, but you need to have the mental side of the game as well. And if you don't have that, then you bring somebody else in who has that, and that's exactly why Gerrard and Beale was a perfect partnership, because one had the mentality and one had the tactical prowess. You know, and I think we've won the lottery with a big man. I think he's both. You know, I keep saying, me and Martin keep going on about we're not going to get too excited for it. It's already happening. So, you know, you would be surprised at how much a footballer's willing to do for a manager that they really, really want to play under. And Sir Alex Ferguson was the best in the world at it. The average footballers would turn into world beaters because of how much they wanted to impress a manager of that stature. And I just hope that's what's happening here.
I mean, it's night and day, the games that he's been in charge of, Ian. He's came in, you know, he smashed Hibs in the first game against Hibs. He's won, you know, I think he's drew once, and that was in Europe. You know, so hold on. We've got Andrew and Fraserburgh who's going to speak about the finances. Andrew, how are we?
Not bad, Brian. Not bad. How are you and your colleagues doing tonight?
Oh, we're not bad. Not bad. It's a bit chilly, but here that's the way it is, isn't it?
It's just winter again, Brian. Brian, are you a Dingwall man by any chance? Is that a Dingwall accent you've got?
No, I'm Forest.
You're a Forest lad, so you're a wee bit further down the road. No, sorry, just a side point there, Brian. On to business. I was on about the very small profit Rangers made, which is certainly light years away from the horrible dark days of the past. But I said to, you know, our colleague tonight answering the phone that there's not going to be enough money there, I don't think, for anything major to happen transfer-wise in January, unless you've got somebody coming up to freedom of contract in the summer and you can find enough to maybe get them over the line in January, somebody in loan, someone like that. But what's your feelings regarding January? Were you expecting much, or do you think Clement will get the best out of these guys he's got?
Ian, there we go.
I think January is a notoriously difficult transfer window anyway. Like people you want to bring in, if you want to add them, if you're playing in Europe post Christmas, have got to have not played in the same competition that you've played in, otherwise they can't play in Europe. I mean, Clement probably does have ideas of who he wants to bring in January, but as the finances stay, as a small profit, is there money there to bring anyone in, or is it a case of we have to sell fast, so we have to lose an asset to bring assets in? But who out of the current squad at the moment, unless you're losing a Cantwell, a Raskin, or someone like that who we don't want to go, and God forbid, Super Jack Butland in goal, we're definitely not losing that. So I don't see where I'd like a sell to buy things coming in, because a lot of we're coming into another summer where a lot of our players are going to be like Roof, like Jack, like Bonner, or walking away on 1 year with freedom of contract again. So back in that situation. Yeah, the numbers don't look great, but there's two managers been sacked inside a year of their contract. so we've had to pay them off. I believe Beals wasn't as high as I think we all thought, but still we had to pay him off. Gio's wouldn't have been cheap, and his backroom staff wouldn't have been cheap. So to turn any type of profit and not turn a loss, considering what we've done, obviously the sales of Aribo and Bassi in this one, and I think is it the Champions League money from the previous season into this one have probably helped not be a massive loss. But yeah, I agree with Andrew. I don't see huge amounts being spent in the transfer window coming up in January, but we've played Savvy before. We managed to get, I know it was Dundee and it's a different setup, but we managed to get Glenn Kamara in. That was 50 grand. We know, we could have made a hell of a lot more money on him if we cashed in when we could have done. So we just got to play it savvy, and hopefully we get one or two decent acquisitions, or even if it is like a pre-contract with a loan to buy, so sort of loan in to bring them in the summer or whatever we need to do. But I think there might be some movement, but I'm not overly optimistic we're going to spend millions that people might be expecting.
I mean, Andrew, do you feel there? I mean, you're obviously of the opinion that it's going to be tough in January. I mean, is it like Ian says? There's just going to be the odd sort of signing here and there, whether the sort of the deal's right. Is that fair?
Yeah, very much, Brian. The good thing is, though, since Clement came in, he's got a hell of a lot of confidence going through that side. And all of a sudden, guys, your previous caller, Jim Fikirkin-Tillich, mentioned Goldson. He looks back to his best again. You're using Balogun now. He never got a sniff under Beale. He's looking the part every week in a league game. And I think the more this team wins, Brian, the more confidence, and they should be able to go into the next match at Pittodrie and not be scared of them. They should be able to take them in the League Cup final as well. But it's one game at a time, as Clement keeps preaching. So I think there's enough there to at least get us to January. Maybe one guy or someone comes in, it's going to make the squad better. But we've still got the likes. Tom Lawrence is just coming back. That was a good sign. You've got Kieran, what's his surname, Brian, the Norwich boy that we took in?
Cantwell.
Kieran Dowell.
Yeah.
Dowell, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, Kieran Dowell, sorry. You still got Kieran Dowell to come in there as well, and you'll get, hopefully, Nicholas Raskin fit again. And I think you're coming back to full fitness at the right time. So fingers crossed we can keep the run going, and hopefully by the end of this year have a cup in the cabinet again.
Absolutely, Andrew. Fantastic call as usual. Thank you very much. Much
Pleasure.
appreciated. Cheers. Thank you, Andrew. Yeah, I mean, Lewis, I don't think we've ever said that these players are horrendous. We've always thought there's players in them. But as you've stated before, the previous manager just either didn't command the respect, didn't have the nous to get the goods out of them. But Clement has. Proper manager.
Certainly. And I've seen a lot of the movement in the comments is about prospects in January, and I think under Clement a transfer window is going to be really, really exciting because you've got a guy who's well versed in European football. I think under Beale, some of the signings didn't really make sense. Like I act a wee bit smug here, but I didn't see the reason in letting Cholak go and bringing in Dessers. And right now I'm being proved 100% right. You've got two guys very similar age, both journeymen, both get very similar goal scoring records, except the difference is you've already got one here and he's already scored like 14 goals in like 16 games. So I think, we made a huge mistake giving a very inexperienced manager absolute free rein. Not having a director of football whilst they was making the transfers as well was a massive issue. But I'm really excited to see what Clement does. And one of the things I'd like to pick up on, Brian, if you don't mind, I hope I'm not ruining your running order, but
No.
I actually think that the Sima deal is a lot more plausible than people realise. He's actually only on about £8,000 a week at Brighton, and I think he's got a current market value of about £6 million, and he'll have a year left in his deal. by the time his loan spell finishes. If he likes it here, he's not getting a sniff at Brighton. So I would take Sima in a heartbeat, and I think Brighton would be willing to accept in and around the 5 to 7 million mark. And if he keeps these numbers going, we can just hope that Clement works in the technical side of his game. And I think we've got a really, really good player, and 22 years of age, plenty of future prospects of selling him on as well.
Absolutely, totally agree. Guys, you've heard Andrew and Jim calling in, so get your calls in 0141 628 7237. Give the guys a question or get your point across about the game on yesterday or anything to do with Rangers, and we'll try and address it. Now, there's been reports today, Ian, that the director of football is a imminent appointment that's happening, hopefully during this international break. It's, for me, we should have had this tied up and sorted out a long time ago, but as typical us, we do things in reverse. But it's a really crucial appointment, this, isn't it? And it's obviously Clement will have a big say in who's the new director of football as well.
Clement better had a massive say on who's going to be this director of football, because it needs to be someone he's willing to work with. It can't just be any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street. I know, again, Graham mentioned him in the comments, so it obviously struck a chord with me because I live down this way. But Norwich's DOF's on his way, and Graham says a possibility of that could be a link that we are going for. Not sure him and Cantwell got on too well, but hopefully, I'm hoping it's someone that Clement's worked with before, or not, at least knows of and is willing to work with, and vice versa, that the director of football is willing to work with Clement. So it has to be the right appointment. It can't just be anybody. I mean, for all his the bad points he did, Ross Wilson did an okay-ish job. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. But we need a next level up. So it has to be the right appointment, and the guys need to work together. So it can't just be anybody.
No, very much not. And we've got another caller. We've got Alex in Hillsborough. Alex, how are we?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Brian. How are the panel? How are the boys? How's Hamish? And that's no fair, mate, because I always call you Ian, okay? That's fair. Here, Lewis, how are you doing? You look like you need cheering up there, by the way.
I'm all right, mate.
Nice to see you, White. Nice to see their teeth. Right, okay, Brian, first of all, for you, I heard you mentioning early on you were for Forest, is that correct?
Yep.
So are you a mechanic, my friend?
Yes,
I was
at the hospitality on Saturday with Forest Mechanics, yes.
Very good. Right, okay, that was just me trying to be funny there, the usual story, right. I'm feeling miserable. Right, here we go. First of all, number one, I think we all owe a big congratulations to Philippe Clement for what he's done in the very short space of time he's been here. We were on our knees. He's lifted us. He's done his best with what we've got in front of us now. He's doing his best. He really is. He's got a team there that are, they're pretty bloody good, to be honest with you, at the moment, with a few exceptions. I'll not even say who they are, but we can all guess, right? So congratulations to Philippe. All the very best. Doffed my cap to him. Right, okay, pitches. Plastic pitches. See the value in that Rangers team that was played on Sunday there?
Mm-hmm.
Russian roulette comes to mind. You're stepping onto that Tony Macaroni. I mean, what a ridiculous name. I'll not even go there anyway. The Tony Macaroni plastic pitch. Russian roulette. These guys have got a lot of money behind them and stuff like that. What happens if, just say for example, McCausland broke his leg on Sunday? How would we all feel about that? We'd be absolutely stunned, battered, angry, you name it, the expletives, you name it. So what at the end of the day are we doing playing in these pitches with Scottish teams that are worth multi-million pounds? And I'm not just saying Rangers. The Rangers are my team, so that's how I'm flagging up. Mm-hmm. Okay? Let Aberdeen go down there and play them any time they want. They're a waste of space anyway. You saw that again at the weekend. So that was that. So, look, I've got one more point to make, but could I just let you come back to me? Because I tend to take care of this bloody programme, don't I? Let me hear some answers.
Lewis?
No, buzzing to have Alex on. He's a podcast legend, isn't he? So he does take care of it. We don't mind. No, he's 100% right. I totally agree with him. I think Ian made the point earlier that, you know, you look at the Premier League, for example, right? Luton have been forced into promising some financial upgrades to that stadium because it's not up to Premier League standard. And, you know, some sort of punishment would have been divvied out for that league if that they didn't sign off and, you know, making upgrades. I think the SPL need to do the same thing. If we ever want change, you know, Hamilton, if they ever go back, they would just keep that pitch because they don't have the finances to keep it going. And why would they if they don't need to? You need to have, you know, a warning in place that, listen, you can't play at the top level if you don't have appropriate environment to play football in. And he's right, we're gone there with our players, and as a Russian roulette, you know, anybody could break their leg. I don't think it was a 5G pitch, mind you, that Lovelace got injured on, but it could have been. Mm-hmm. And then you would hear every Rangers fan under the sun moaning that it was because of that surface. So I think it's definitely something that needs to be looked into, because it's embarrassing. It really, really is embarrassing that our top division has so many AstroTurf pitches that have been in it in the last 10 years.
Totally agreeing, Alex.
Oh, I'm loving what they're saying. Lewis, you spoke sense there completely. The whole thing is, these players are worth a fortune. These players are a Rangers investment to us. So what's the point of taking them down there to Livingston, or across, I should say, to Livingston, depends where you are, geographically speaking. And they play maybe half an hour, break a leg, do something really serious to their cruciates or whatever, and that's them. They're out for the rest of the season. You need to sort that dug out. Whose dog's that? Is it you, Lewis?
Not mine. I haven't got a dog.
I was on mute, mate, so it's no
me. I hear a dog. Sorry, I hear a dog barking in the background. Never mind. Okay, look, thanks for your points on that. One very last one for you, okay, before I shuffle off here. It's this VAR business. Whenever Rangers scored a goal, I was off my seat in the middle of the living room, throwing beer about the house and all the rest of it, cheering and shouting and bawling like a bloody lunatic. Do you know what now? If Rangers put the ball in the back of the net, I've just got to sit down for 10 minutes and wait for this VAR decision. Is it a goal or is it not a goal, by the way?
Yeah.
I'm a reactive football fan, right? If I see my team score, I'm up there straight away. I don't want to be sitting down in a cloud of silence with a big shroud over my head, waiting for the referee to tell me, big square box, points to the spot, whatever it is he's pointing to. Goal! I can't stand it. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Back to you, boys.
Alex. Yeah, thanks for your call, Alex. As brilliant as ever. We'll hear from you next Monday. Thank you very much. Alex is spot on though, Ian, isn't he? You know, there was I think after the second disallowed goal on yesterday, I turned around to one guy and I says, "Is there any point in actually celebrating a goal now until VAR's check's over?"
Absolutely.
You kind of get that sort of you want to just sort of stand there until the check's done and then celebrate.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky when I watch it on the TV because I seem to be about 5-10 seconds behind everybody else. So I know we've scored and I know that the goal's been disallowed before I actually see it. So I don't get excited about it. It's good. I get what VAR is supposed to do, but for whatever reason, the officials up here use it to referee the game. They don't use it for what it's meant to be used for. So they'll let anything happen because they know that VAR will check it and tell them to change it. I think we only had one change. It was Willie Collum of all bloody people at Ibrox who stuck with his original decision. I've not seen many stick with their original decision. And it's not just here. It does happen in the EPL as well, but less so. It's slowing the game down. The idea was it was supposed to take away the controversy. If anything, we probably talk more about the controversial decisions now VAR is in the pub than we ever used to do before. I mean, for us, the first goal yesterday, absolutely right. Dessers, it's offside. I think as soon as you run the video and you just look down and see Dessers, you can just equally say it's offside. It's fine. I actually think he touches it just ever so slightly as well, which makes the keeper have to do something. Therefore, it's not a goal. But that second one, the second one is either a penalty or a goal. So VAR is just wasting everybody's time by doing it. The only good thing about it was the ref let the game flow, let it come to an end, and then made the decision, which is what he's meant to do. But VAR should have been in there going, no, it's a foul on Sima to start with. It's gone on. Yes, it's a foul, albeit a soft one on the Livy player, but it's going on and they've scored. Give the goal, walk away. Or don't give a go and give a penalty. Either or.
Yeah. I think we could do a whole hour on VAR because I think everybody's got their issues with it. But phone lines are still open, 01416287237. Get your calls in and get to speak to Lewis and Ian. Yeah, I mean, VAR just seems to overtake everything, Lewis, doesn't it? I mean, we all thought it was going to come in, it was going to make this, it was going to improve things, it was going to, stop all the sort of controversy and the chitter chatter of whatever way that you think the referee's referee, but it just seems to make things worse.
I think the problem is when you start to dig a wee bit deeper into the context, you've got a 20-year-old boy in Ross McCausland who, to be honest with you, if Zach Lovelace was still fit, probably wouldn't be getting anywhere near the team. And he's come on and he's made a real difference. I mean, he was unbelievable when he came on against Sparta Prague. He should have had about a hat-trick of assists. That first pass with the through ball cut their defence wide open, and that's European night. And I think we were still only, 2 goals ahead. It might even been 2-1. That's a high pressure situation, and he's playing well, and he's riding the crest of a wave, and he scores. That's a brilliant finish. It was right into the top corner, and it's so wrongfully chopped off. Like Ian said, it should have been a penalty to us. Never mind a bloody free kick all the way. Sima was getting ragdolled before he even moved. So it's just a joke, and unfortunately, I don't think there's any reality in them scrapping VAR unless the big boys down south decide to do it first, because they would need to be the torchbearers for that and be the catalyst for that starting, because I don't see anybody else having the conads to do it, and maybe if the Premier League did it, the rest would follow suit, but it's just that it's farcical. Like Ian said as well, you talk about refereeing decisions more than we ever had in football history, and it was meant to dispel that. So what the hell is it here for?
Yeah. I mean, I don't see mass hysteria or sort of controversies in Germany or Italy or the big leagues in abroad, Ian. But it seems to be happening an awful lot either in England or in Scotland. So is it a case of it depends who is using the VAR more than anything?
It could well be. Do we not hear anything about the German, the Spanish, the French, and the Italian because we're not as plugged in to their leagues as we are with Scotland and England? But if the big five start to kick up a fuss, so if England, Germany, Italy, France, Spain all start to kick up a fuss, VAR will be gone. I know that everyone says VAR is here to stay and it's not going anywhere, but if those 5 leagues start to kick up a fuss, it's gone. And if it cocks up a World Cup or a European Championships or a Copa America or the African League of Nations or anything like that, it'll be gone because the big boys just won't stand for it, and money is power, and they've got the money. So, but yeah, from our point of view, I think it's the people that are using it. We've now got supposed full-time people for VAR, who are supposed to be the highest now trained out of all of them. They still don't seem to know how to use it properly. I hate it. Simple as that. I hate the damn thing. I thought it was going to be a good thing. And on top of that, now we've got like extra 25 minutes of injury time every game. You go to a game now, you're lucky to get home on the same day. So, I don't know. I think it's just a bit of a joke. And I think it's just a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a it's just scrapping, start again, and goal line technology. Keep that. That's perfect, brilliant. That works very well because it's literally the watch says it went in. Can't argue with that. Done. I'd like to run it all the way down the line. So goal kicks, corners, and that sort of stuff. And then you get that controversy from the Newcastle Arsenal game gets dispelled straight away because the watch will say. But other than that, the VAR for me, just get rid of it, get shot of it. But until the big boys want rid of it, it's here till then.
I never kind of thought about it like that, Lewis, in the sense that if the big five kicked up a stink, then nothing would happen. But if they generally do, I never, until you mentioned it there, I never gave it really much thought. But if they do kick up a stink, it could be going, because as Ian says, they're the leagues with all the money in Europe.
I mean, they're the superpowers in the sport, aren't they? So other than maybe, Saudi Arabia is a new kid in the block, but certainly if the top 5 divisions had put in a serious request to get it dispelled, then it might happen. But even then, it would be a long drawn process. It's not something that's going to happen anytime soon. I think, like Ian said, that the problem is what it gets used for as well. Like, see the looking into the ball being over the line, like, we're not looking at the full shape of the ball, so the shadow now needs to be across the line. It's not just the actual spherical bottom part of the ball, it needs to be the side bit of the ball. And it probably took them about 5 minutes to figure that out. After the Liverpool scenario, I think there should have been a serious inquest into VAR, because that was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And do you know what I think shows it? Rangers have actually been quite a fortunate football club with VAR. We've been quite lucky, especially in a European sense. In our Europa League run, we were very fortunate with a lot of penalties, which were all penalties, but we might have not got them all if VAR wasn't there. So if we're all sitting here still saying that it shouldn't be in the sport, then that should really make you sit up and think, because what the hell do the fans that get shafted by it do?
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, we were speaking about it at the weekend, Ian. Rugby seems to manage all their what they call it TMO, don't they? I can't remember what it's called, the TMO. They speak up. The referee actually has the microphone on, and the whole stadium can hear what he's saying to the TMO guy, asking him, is there any reason I can't give this try? Or he asks the VAR, is there anything that I've missed, that I can't give this? And they work for some reason. Rugby works it very well. I mean, I'm not a rugby fan, but from the games that I maybe watch, like the World Cup that happened recently, they get everything spot on. So why can't football?
They're vastly different games, unfortunately. The fact that the players on a rugby pitch, once if the referee's speaking, and bear in mind the referee on a rugby pitch is like 3 foot shorter than everybody else on it. But when the referee's speaking, they respect him, and it's okay, no problem, walk away. You won't have that in football. It's never going to happen. You've got the odd one that respect the referee, but I mean, do you think, looking back to in the 90s, if we had VAR in the 90s and that sort of stuff, for example, do you think the likes of Manchester United, who used to crowd round the referee at all times, mainly to stop Roy Keane getting sent off? He's not watching, is he? Oh, damn. But how many players would actually be on the pitch now? Because it just wouldn't happen. It works in that sport. It works in tennis. I mean, tennis is slightly different, obviously, but it's only 2 players smacking the ball at each other. But there's still they call their appeal or whatever it is they call it, and it goes to the line, and they accept the decision and walk away. Cricket's the same, but you're not going to get that with football because of it's just the way that the players react. I mean, even now with VAR, as soon as something happens and the ball goes in, we saw it on Thursday, sorry. Oof, now give myself cold sweats thinking we play on Wednesdays. When Danilo scores the third, which was rightly, again, chalked off by VAR, so it does work when used correctly, and obviously European games are higher standard, different type of VAR as well. Instead of accepting that it's going to be checked, straight away they're all at the ref.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it more and more and more now, and that you can see it, it used to be that. Now it's this. All the players are doing this now. So it doesn't matter what you bring in. The players are always going to whinge and moan. I had to take a word out at the referee, no matter what, and it's never going to change. And having no amount of technology is going to change that.
No, not at all. Folks, poor Robert's sitting there just twiddling his thumbs. He's feeling very lonely. Give him a phone. Get in touch. 0141 628 7237. Poor Robert's just twiddling his thumbs there, just sitting all on his own. He needs somebody to give him a buzz and phone him up and give him a chat. So give him a
Even
buzz.
Bruno's left
Get in
him.
touch. Get in touch with us. But yeah, I think, Lewis, moving on to what I think Alex mentioned, the manager. I think it's. I don't think you can underestimate how well he's done since he's come in. 5 wins and a draw. I mean, we were speaking about it yesterday. Even there's no way. I don't think Michael Beale would have had as good a run as that if it was in the same fixtures. And to be honest, I thought it was. I honestly thought Clement had a massive hill to climb, and I never thought he would turn it around as quick as he has. But he's managed it, and you can only doff, as Alex says, you can only doff your hat off to him and congratulate him because he's done extremely well with a limited time to work with the players, and then the fixtures were coming thick and fast at him.
Listen, if we were still under the tutelage of Michael Beale, we would probably be third and bottom Europa League group. So, it's a massive job that Clement's done, considering he's had to come in and work within his means. And he's still had a lot of players unavailable as well. It's not even like we've got the best of the best. No, I think he's done wonders. And like I said, I'm just so excited and optimistic about this man when he gets some money. Whether this probably won't be in January. I actually think it would do him the world of good to just try and work with this group of players until the end of the season. And then at the end of the season, he really, really knows who he can keep and who he needs to let go, because I don't think he'll be shy in being honest about that. And I'm just excited to see what additions he's going to make to this squad. I think that the style of football, we can actually understand how Rangers are trying to play. It was like 7 or 8 months of watching Michael Beale and not having a clue what formation or what system he was playing, and he was meant to be a tactical genius. Mm-hmm. I think the experience is the biggest thing here. We've got a guy that's actually succeeded in the role as a manager, and not a coach, and not a guy who's won one league in one season, a managerial football. And I think that's the biggest difference. And like I said, I'm just absolutely buzzing to see what the big man's going to do in the future. And listen, it's only 5 points, and Celtic only playing great than now either, even though they just scudded the sheep 6-0. But I mean, come on, they usually have like a 20-41 goal difference, don't they? So
well, that was one thing I was going to bring up. I had a bit of a bee in my bonnet yesterday, Ian, as you might have seen. So this fixture comes around 4 times a year, and every time it sort of comes around, you kind of know what's going to happen. And yesterday was no different. It was just the difference for me is when they play that lot, like they did yesterday. But I guarantee you, when we play after the first game after the international break, you won't see a team only having one shot on goal and putting an effort like that, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I mean, I had a little messenger conversation with my daughter. After the Rangers game finished, I went out. I had to go and pick up some stuff. So I went out, and she messaged saying, she was obviously watching it, she's like, why don't they try against Celtic? And I said, I told her, I don't even bother about it. We know what's going to happen. This will be at least 5 today, because I predicted 5 on the SPFL show predictor, and slightly gutted that the Chief couldn't even defend for 2 minutes just to hold out a 5-0 loss. I said, but you watch when they play us when we come back from the international breaks. We've got to go there. They will kick everything. There will be no misplaced passes into their own box. There'll be no lack of commitment, because between this and the cup final, this defines their season. And I don't care what other people say in the chats. I know other people have said, like, well, look at us with Livingston, and look at them with Livingston, and look at us with Motherwell, and look at them with Motherwell. It's obvious. The only time that Aberdeen have ever taken anything from Celtic recently was to stop us getting second place. So you tell me that they don't try against them. And Robson yesterday giving it the crocodile tears, saying, we need to be better, we need to be better. It's your paymasters, mate. We know it. We know it. They know it. But we could go down a conspiracy hole and end up with tin hats on like them. But it's blatant, and I'm not going to get too far into it because I will get angry, just like you were yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, he must be a terrible manager, because Aberdeen actually have like a very decent squad of players. Like, I think Miovski is good enough for Rangers, and I think Duke is also good enough for the Old Firm. If you have they two alone, you should not be performing like this. Stephen Robinson would be so far clear in third with this squad. Mm-hmm. Like, he is just not getting enough out of this, and I know people don't like us talking about anything other than Rangers, but they're just a shambles of a football club, and Hearts are the exact same. They've got a really good squad of players, and they've put a very inexperienced idiot in charge, and this is where they sit.
Yeah. So, Curry's made a great point. There's a few Lewis, you mentioned this just in the last call. I think it was, there's a few players out of the last year of their contract who should we be trying to get rid of for money before letting them go for nothing in the summer. I mean, it's as I think it was either Ian or yourself said before that January's a notoriously difficult month anyway. Would you be in the market to sell anybody, or would you rather keep people and then sort everything out in the summer?
To be honest with you, Brian, I think there's 4 players, maybe 5. I think it's Jack, Roof, Borna, and maybe Lundstrom, and obviously Balogun as well. So, I mean, the only 2 you could really look at getting any decent fee at is Borna and Lundstrom. I think the other 3, Balogun's 35. Roof, nobody's going to pick him up with his injury problems. So I think it's only really Borna and Lundstrom. And I actually think Clement might keep Lundstrom. I think that might be somebody that he looks to keep on at the club. I personally wouldn't.
Do you think he fancies him? As in, he likes him as a player?
I think so. I think he likes that he's steady and he's always available, and he's got a bit of athleticism about him. He probably looks at him and go, I can work on, the misplaced passes and stuff like that. But other managers have thought that, and he's not really changed under 3 of them. So, and then for Borna, for some reason, he always seems to get interest for the likes of Serie A. I think there was links to Roma again, completely out of the blue. I don't understand why. I think Borna's a really good player on his day, but he's 31 now, and he's very injury prone himself. So, if we could get anything north of 2 million for Borna, and I think Lundstrom, I would be looking to get north of 3 million. I think that would be 2 pretty good sales, but again, I think even they 2 are unlikely.
Yeah, it's as you said. I think it was Ian. It's just a notorious month to get anything done in or out. You're almost as Lewis says. If you get anything north of 2 million for sort of Borna or Lundstrom, or they might want to stay. They might be even speaking about new contracts. We don't know. Excuse me, but it's a horrible month, isn't it? It's just so difficult to get anything that you want, because everybody that you want, the clubs that they're at, want to keep them. Or if there's a guy that's worth 3 million, they know you're after them. They'll hike up the price just to see if they can get more out of you. So it's just a horrible month to sign players, isn't it?
It's a terrible month to sign players. You just basically, the only ones you really are going to get in the door are those that aren't doing it at a club that they're already at, and the club wants a shot of them. Much like with us, we've got people coming out of contract, so can we get a shot of them and pick up a little bit of money? I think Lewis might be a bit too much on the evaluation of getting 2 players like Lunny or Borna in the last 6 months of their contract getting anywhere near 2 or 3 million. I'd love it if it comes in, bite their hand off and take it, but I don't see it, because they've got that option just to sit at the club and disappear in the winter, in the summer for nothing. But if offers that are acceptable come in, then I think Borna. because unfortunately Yilmaz is quite injury prone at the moment as well. So if Borna goes and Yilmaz gets injured, who's he playing there? So you might find that both Borna and Lunny are here till the summer, and then it's then go and look at it. And then Paul McGarrigle's just put right in the chat that he seems to be on a little bit of a redemption curve himself and has changed games playing for us. The semi-final, for example, when he came on, he changed the game. So maybe that's something else that Clement sees something in right and is going to get the best out of him. You never know. Thanks, Hugster. It's you that started all this, to be fair, last week. If we can get people out the door, then great. If we can get money for them, I just don't see it happening. There's too many of the players that we want to get rid of who have got very small amounts of time left on their contract.
Yeah, it's very much the case. Guys, remember there's the 63% off the NordVPN deal sponsors of the Rabble just now. The link is in the description below. Give it a look and see if that's something that you need. A fantastic deal, well over 50% off. It's a worthwhile thing if that's your thing. So, international break, Lewis. What are you going to be doing? Are you an international football man, or are you just not interested?
Well, given my age, I kind of need to be a fan of Scotland because I've not been very fortunate in Scotland's aspirations in my lifetime. So I don't mind watching a bit of Scotland. A couple of dead rubber games now anyway in it, so I might give them a watch. It's not something that I'll be, setting it in a lump for.
No, absolutely not. But Ian, it's a far cry, as we said at the start, from where we were when Mr. Clement came in. I think we all were kind of, somebody else was saying in the comments about, Harry Potter and the magic wand. I genuinely didn't think there was any chance of this getting turned around as quickly as it had. I mean, I thought if we kept it in single figures getting into the international break, we were doing well. But to get to where we are just now, I'm very surprised, but pleasantly surprised.
See, the minute he said that he's not Harry Potter and he doesn't have a magic stick. I know I'm 44 years old and I'm a grown man, but I love Harry Potter. So that was it. I was sold. For me, there was nobody better to choose. He was using Harry Potter references. He's the man. And unfortunately, he does kind of look like the other guy in Harry Potter, but he's got something going on. He's got some sort of magic, because I don't know if he's found the magic hat that Warburton dropped all them years ago, but he's definitely got something going on. And I wasn't expecting it. I mean, maybe the European games, because he would be more suited to that sort of thing. He's done it with Bruges. He's got some excellent results with Bruges, playing in some massive games in the Champions League. So I thought maybe we might improve in Europe a little bit. But to have not lost since coming in is fantastic. And touch wood, we don't feel too many of the wrong side. But he's prepared. I think he's fully prepared for the day that happens. He's talking about it. He's not dispelling it, saying that it's not going to happen. It's like, we just need to be prepared for when that comes around. What do we do then? And that is music to my ears. It's, how are you going to react as players? What are you going to do? And I'm loving that. So yeah, he made a Harry Potter reference. He's the man for me.
I think as well, Lewis, even when you see Rangers TV posting the press conference on YouTube or Twitter or wherever you find it, everybody's buzzing about his press conferences, because as we all know, the last two managers weren't exactly how could you say, watchable sort of press conferences. But this manager, I just love the way that he treats the press, and he gives them nothing, does he?
No, he certainly doesn't. One of the biggest assets Steven Gerrard had was he didn't take any shit for no one. And he made that very clear from day one in a press conference as Rangers manager. And Clement has that exact same stature. He's got that aura about him. You just, when he talks, you sit down and you listen, because you're scared of what happens if you don't listen. And I picked up on just a small detail, and I think it's a big thing in this day and age. He changes the way he speaks when he's speaking to like a male reporter in comparison to a female reporter. He's much more respectful. He's much more calmer with female reporters than he is with the male reporters, and I think that's just a nice wee adage onto, that's an upstanding man in society today that knows how to change the register depending on who he's talking to, and he's definitely got that other side to him that I would be terrified to watch the big guys bulge out his napper if you've not been performing in the first half, and it's been a few games where we've not performed in the first half, so a few players been getting the hairdryer treatment, but I love him. I think we've really, really want to watch here, and I'm so excited for the future.
Yeah. Last sort of point that Curry's made again, guys, if you want to jump on. Was Cantwell right to go onto social media to prove why he reacted the way he did after so many criticising him for getting a needless yellow? Now, this is obviously a newer phenomenon than me and Ian have been used to in the past, where you maybe have a snippet in the paper the next day, or the Monday morning papers, you would see a snippet from a quote from a player. But this instant sort of world we're in now, Lewis, do you believe players should be doing this, or do you think they should just let it go and leave it?
Well, I certainly don't think you should let it go, because if anybody's seen it, that boy should have been sent off, and he should have been suspended for a few games, because I wasn't even involved in the play, and he's completely and utterly straightened his leg out, studs up, and if Cantwell plants his foot more, he could break his shin. You know what I mean? And that's our best player out for over a year, possibly. Mm-hmm. So he should definitely not leave it, but going to social media, it was maybe a bit immature. I think the sensible thing would have been to go and speak to Rangers and see if you can put in a formal complaint for that to be looked at. Because you go on social media and then, the authorities will just be like, right, well, it's out of our hands now because you've put it on a public domain. So I don't think that was the right move, but he certainly should have dropped it, because it was a disgusting attempt to endanger an opponent. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it, Marcus Rashford, that has his red card against Copenhagen, and that boy's still on the pitch. That's just another indictment on how embarrassingly, poor Scottish officiating is.
Ian, would you have told him to just keep it quiet and let the club deal with it? Or would you have let him just do what he's done?
Again, to go back to my daughter, I'm constantly telling them not to put stuff on social media, deal with it, away from it, because you don't need to do it. But it's the world we live in now. Social media is king. He has a massive following. So he's going to put his point across. But then if VAR's not going to do it, and if the officials aren't going to do it, and no one else is going to do anything about it, it kind of leaves it to Cantwell to show, look, this is why I reacted. Rightly or wrong, maybe he could have put a little bit more of rightly or wrongly I reacted to this, but this is why. But I feel that he's made himself a target now in Scottish football. Certain commentators don't help by pushing the narrative of Todd Cantwell and the old Tik Tok Todd and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is a case now of who can be the first one to get Cantwell booked in a game. Ooh, let it be me, let it be me, let it be me. Same with Alfie. Same with Gaza. Go all the way back then. It seemed to be a case of I'm going to be the one to book you today. I'm going to do it really quickly. Last guy did it in 5 minutes. I'm going to do it in 3. That seems to be where this is headed. Another target, another one. But we can tell him to a blue in the face not to do it, but he's going to do it because that's the generation that we live in now.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. It really is. So, folks, that is us for tonight. My thanks to Ian and Lewis for joining me tonight. The producer in the background, Robert, thank you very much for doing your sterling work there, doing the calls. Best wishes to the boss, Martin. He's in his deathbed. He's not feeling very well, so we'll all hope he makes a recovery. Just a little one for tomorrow night. We are going live at 7:30 with Wilf, Laura and Carr going over the Spartans game and the Boroughmuir Thistle game yesterday with Rangers women. So it's tomorrow night live at 7:30 on YouTube. We will be there. Come and join us and get all the Rangers women's show news. But anyway, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again very, very soon.